Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome. It is round 6 of the championship for the ARL Porsche Cup. Season 16 has had its to's and fro's, and we arrive at the fantastic Watkins Glen circuit, the 3.3 mile circuit based in the US of A. A really intriguing set of corners that are set to challenge our drivers. My name is Adam Reed. In the broadcasting booth we have Aidan Howard, but alongside me it is the wonderful Alexa Marshall. Welcome in, Alexa. It is going to be a good night of racing.
Yeah, I mean, it most definitely is going to be a good night of racing. The Pro and the Amateur Championships are getting incredibly close here as we head into the second half of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Series. The Pro-Ams is a little bit more open, but that midfield has been one heck of a show so far. And Watkins Glen, I mean, we've had it in the past. The drivers have already said this is such an amazing circuit. It's fast-paced, and these Porsche Cups are going to be absolutely perfect for the type of racing that you're going to get around here.
Indeed, we are set for an absolutely cracking couple of races here. We actually have only one race. We have a 60-minute compared to the heat format that you guys are more familiar with back at home. But here is the wonderful Watkins Glen circuit. They used to host Formula One back in the day and now host the likes of NASCAR and IMSA. We turn in towards the 90-degree right-hander for using all of the curb on the left-hand side before heading up to some of the most famous corners in American motorsport. It is the S's, the fast sweeping section of 2, then 3, and then 4. Then you head your way along the back stretch. A really fast set of corners. Our driver will be upping to 140 miles an hour through that turn 4 sequence, so it's going to be a fast corner if you want to make a move. Then we head in toward the inner loop with the famous chicane. Get this wrong and you could be doing yourself a lot of harm on your qualifying lap. Then you head in toward the outer loop, the long right-hander of turn 5 banked. And of course a lot of run-up, but be careful because it can definitely unsettle the car. Before we then head in towards the chute for turn number 6, the barriers are very, very close to you, so you've got to be very, very wary of where you're placing the car. Then we head here down towards the toe, the long right-hander, which has seen so many interesting moments over the course of its years. Then we make our way through along towards the boot and on towards the heel of the foot here, and a bit of a gravel trap in case somebody makes a mistake, but hopefully that won't be used too many times before we then resume back on towards the main layout through this left-hander of turn 9 and then past the bridge that gets you into the circuit. Finally, the last 2 corners, it's a dash through turn number 10, really, really quick in these downforce cars before getting up towards turn number 11. You're going to be so close with the barrier, you might as well invite it out for a date night. You'll be that close to the barriers, but then you run your way down towards the start-finish line, and that is a lap of the beautiful Watkins Glen International. We're ready to go racing here at the Glen.
And qualifying is just about underway, I do believe, so we'll get to that one in a moment. Of course, it's your amateurs who will be out there first, and this is one thing I want to talk about here. He's currently sat top in the qualifying session with a 146.553. Of course, Joey Ireland currently leading this championship, sat up there on 335 points, I should say. 321 is his number. Not far behind, though, is Luke Blow with 315, and then not far behind himself is Wiley Blair. We've got a three-way fight in this amateur championship, so it's going to be interesting to see what these drivers will be doing around here. But another thing to think about going in towards the race, Adam, I've seen it in the past, and it's going to be a big thing with how many cars we always have on this circuit, especially with a 60-minute race. That turn 9-10 section, if one driver goes into that barrier and veers back onto the circuit, that can really, really mess up somebody's race.
Indeed, I've seen a lot of horrible crashes around here. You know, when Formula One used to be here, they were so deadly. NASCAR have had its fair share of incredible crashes around here. So have the IMSA WeatherTech Championship. Including this year, they had an incident going towards turn number 4 of the S's. So, you know, if you have an accident around here, it's bound to be massive, no matter what part of the circuit you are in. So, you know, the driver will have to be really cautious about this, about that fact. But that's not going to be the fact that's going to be swirling around in their heads. This is the fact that they're going to be attacking this race circuit at full gas. We see here Francesco Miraglia going towards turn number 2 and then on towards 3 here. That brilliant sequence of corners. Here's Wiley Blair. Now, Wiley Blair did not have the best of runs here at Spa-Francorchamps last summer round, I should say. It was a difficult one for the Australian. You know, rarely qualifying, you know, for, you know, the best part of the top end. He, you know, managed to get only 12th in Heat 2, but he managed to get the Heat Advance, but he finished 19th in that A final, which is, you know, a really difficult race for him. But he will look to come back. It was so far putting in a good lap.
Yeah, I mean, it most definitely is. And this is the thing, Wiley Blair is up there at the current moment in the championship. However, unlike the top 2 of Joey Ireland and Luke Blow, they've only been on the podium twice. That was in round 3 and round number 4, picking up some race victories. But that's it. They've never been second and they've never been third. So they'll be looking to do that tonight as we see Van Vliet there go up into P number 3. Joey Ireland coming across the line and they will go back into that top position for the amateur class. 1 minute 46.029 there. The Canadian of Formato goes up into P number 7. So very close to their home country here for Formato. I'm trying to remember if we have a Canadian circuit on the calendar. I do not believe we do. So this is the closest for a home race that the Canadian's going to have. There is going to be Luke Blow coming towards the line now. And they make another run to go around the Watkins Glen circuit. 2 minutes left on the clock for the amateur drivers.
Indeed, not a lot of time left on the clock, as you say there, Alexa, but these drivers are going to be a full chat now, I feel. You know, they've had the time to get themselves up to speed, up to temps, and really be able to get the car and themselves in the zone. Looks like Joey Ireland has managed to take that fastest lap, 46.0 for the Briton, 3/10 of a second over Wiley Blair. We've had a big mistake there from Luke Blow. That was a very difficult moment. It looks like it's going around and into the barrier, and that is just an example of what can happen. That was quite a fair shunt as he headed into the wall, but that is I'm going to repeat what our producers have said. He said he's had a date with Barrier, it seems. Yeah, well done, Aidan there in production. But yeah, it does seem like that's the type of incident you can have around this circuit. And trust me, they're not going to be, you know, the nicest of incidents that we've already discussed. But here comes Christian Malczarek just as we head to 45 seconds remaining. He goes over the line, currently sits P4 for the moment. Still remains about half a second off.
So coming towards the end here, you do see a few yellows popping up. That's for Van Vliet and Glue. Formato goes for another lap. Here comes Marcus Dietrich as they make their way across the line, but the German driver only goes up into P number 6. Though, I wouldn't say that's too bad, considering what this circuit can be like. If you're able to get into the toe of another driver, you can very much follow them around. Maybe a bit more difficult into the foot section, but that is definitely going to be it. And you can see a lot of the Pro-Ams get on the road now, a swarm as they make their way down towards the pit lane exit, as the Pro-Ams now go out for their qualifying session. Of course, 10 minutes to 20 minutes where they will be able to set their limes. And there is Malczarek as they make their way around the circuit, trying to get a little bit higher in this qualifying session. 0.568 currently off the top, with a nice little improvement here, which they are currently improving. They could get themselves up at a P number 2 here.
Yeah, indeed. There's a lot of opportunity for these drivers to really put themselves in a really strong position. So I think it's all about what they can do. But you see here, Christian Maltrek is going really, really well in his times. Green sectors all about the place. This is looking like an absolute field with the amount of green sectors we're seeing from the number 320. He's really saved the best till last, which is exactly what you want to do, riding the curb there on the left-hand side, getting right up close to the safer barriers on the left-hand side, over the timing line. Christian Maltrek does go to P2, the Slovakian, managing to go to just over a tenth and a half of Joey Island. So some really, really fantastic stuff from the Slovakian. We now see our charge of Pro-Ams heading out into the circuit. The first driver we meet is Valesen, who has done incredible for his team. So we'll now have to see what this circuit has to offer.
Get on board here for the first flying run on board Valesen. Currently 6P3 in the championship. Obviously, I mentioned it just before, the Pro-Am championship is a little bit more open. Current leader away by 78 points. Ville Eisen sits 114 points behind the leader as we go in towards turn number 1. Keeping it, but using as much of the circuit as possible. Stays to the left and begins the run up through 2, into 3, then into 4, the S's. You carry so much speed going up here that it really does makes it interesting when you head down in towards the inner loop, because one slight mistake, one undulation of the downforce, and you're going to have a moment like we saw with, unfortunately, Luke Blow in the amateur qualifying. The car is bouncing all over the place, but able to keep it under control through the banked right-hander of turn number 5 and in towards the foot section. A little bit more over the curb, in towards 6, heavy onto the left-hander as the circuit barriers now are around you. There's now no runoff. You've only got greenery as you head down into the toe. Little bit of a dip downhill, right-hander as you head uphill and towards the toe.
Yep, now we head our way on towards the heel as we make our way down the back straight. You can see how it kind of goes up and then comes back down. Very, very similar, kind of more of a longer version of the back straight down towards the Knickerbrook chicane at Alton Park. I just kind of got that very similar, view of what you see when you're at the top of that peak of the hill down towards Knickerbrook. When you're at Alton Park, having stood on that circuit, I kind of saw the same resemblance. But now we see what's going on through 10. You're really seeing the car on the limit. That Boxer in line 4 will start whirring away as we head our way down the straight. There goes the 209 of Valesen. It goes over the line. Don't expect it to be an incredible lap out of the boxes, but P5 is not too shabby. Half a second off Joey Island. Now we get to see what the comparison is like. There goes Jensen Andreadsen, the winner last time out from Spa-Francorchamps, took that A final win, and I said then I couldn't have been a better winner with the home kind of driver in that sense. But yeah, really strong so far. Joey Island's time is well in touch, so Ireland still have the opportunity to qualify in the top 10 overall, but then we'll have to see where everyone else stacks against him, because we're now going halfway into this qualifying session as Yannick Pletchler does set a purple first sector, so we'll have to see how that lap time evolves over time.
The final few corners and onto the main straight as you go bowling in towards the timing line. It's going to be Nikolai Plokiov as they make their way just a little bit further, and there's the 240 as they make their way through the right-hander. Yannick Pletchler, like you said, currently a little bit of an improvement in sector 2 and sector number 3 there. Jensen Adrianassen's getting a purple sector 2, sector 3 being just personal improvement for the time being, as the 240 makes their way onto the back stretch one more time towards here, but looking all eyes to a little bit further back as we see one of the drivers just getting out of the way there. That is the 238 as they make their way around the circuit. The 238, of course, just looking on here real quick, is going to be Emma Ruiu. So they're making their way towards the line now as they come across and trying to get up the board. And you see Pletcher there, the Swiss driver goes P number 1, 145. 9.75. Adrian Arsens P number 2. Lahulia goes P number 6. And Ruiu, the Italian, goes into P number 20.
Indeed, so times continuing to be put on the board as Yannick Pletchler and Jensen Andretsen still lead the way, 21 thousandths of a second separating each other. Joey Lyon get knocked down to third. There is Henry Puttock in P4, championship leader. So we'll have to see what his progress is looking like. There, I believe, it's the 2-2-3 of Puttock. Yeah, he's had a really strong set of results, I'd say, has Puttock. 13th in the A final at Virginia, 4th in the A final at Fuji. He came 5th overall in Imola with a DNF in Bathurst, but came back to go 2nd overall in the Spa-Francorchamps race. So that was a really good effort from Hayden Puttock, and that's why he's now leading the championship by what is almost 80 points over Urho Kutila. So that will be a bit of a battle between those two, unless Kutila isn't here, which I haven't seen the Finnish driver, which is going to be a sigh of relief for Puttock, but his next contender will be Valaisen.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing as well when you look at it. It was a good start of the season for of course, Hayden Puttock. The last 2 races, second in last races, we see Emma Rieu go in the P number 5 there. A very nice improvement. As Lahulia, the Frenchman, goes up in the P number 2 tonight. Not far behind off the current Pro-Am leader. Here comes Hayden Puttock across the line. And they are going to be up in the P number 2 by less than a tenth of a second. So, it's just showing how close these drivers really can get to each other with about 2 minutes and 15 seconds left on their clock. But back to what I was saying, Valaisen has been quite a nice mid-season. The start of the season was really where Hayden Puttock has shown with a win in round 1, round 2 and round 3. But Pletcher, I will say this, Adam, after last race and the way he's looking at the moment, this is a very nice improvement, and they're only getting faster as we go by.
Yeah, Pletcher has had his struggles so far this season, so we'll have to see how he kind of goes about his racecraft, especially through the 60-minute race, because looking at the results last 60-minute race, not all the drivers managed to go into the top 20. Only 3 of them. That was Hayden Puttock in 5th place. It was Jensen and Dredson in 9th, and then that's Ville Eisen in 11th. The rest of the Pro-Ams never managed to get a top 20 in that case, so or a top 15, I should say. So that will be a real thinker for these guys to, get the experience and then be able to coach themselves into being able to adjust these 60-minute races. But seeing the top 5 all as pro-ams really does show how competitive they are, and especially being, less than a tenth and a half separating the top 6, really to show how competitive this championship really is. Timothy Mitusov, I should say, the Russian driver, just shy of 0.3 of a second off the lead, but we're about to now get our pros heading out onto the circuit. So this is going to be the last-ditch effort for our pro-ams out on the race circuit.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see here, because I do think the pros will definitely mix it up a little bit. I'm sure quite a lot of them will be looking for a bite of a cherry, shall we say, because of what happened last week out at Spa. Obviously, we know what the weather was like, especially in the qualifying session. They got the worst of it, so they'll be looking to get back into the groove of things and get higher up onto the field. But there is one thing as we do cross over and they will start to come out the pit lane. There is all of your pro drivers now coming out onto the circuit. There is one driver I want to talk about here, Adam, just at the end of Pro-Am qualifying, and that's Emma Rieu. And I think they're one of the drivers which I would say can show how different formats can really affect one's results, because in the heats, they haven't had the best results, but when we've come down to these 60-minute races, they've been one of the best drivers, in my opinion.
We'll have to see how that all kind of pans out. So Emma Ryu has been really, really strong over the last recent races, and we'll see if Watkins Glen is down to their driver suit, because as we've been speaking about, these 60-minute races have been really, really difficult for everyone. I think they've really had to adjust themselves. We now look over the timing line, these last couple of lap times being put it in. Matt Strand going in 16th. But back to what you were saying, some circuits and some formats can suit other drivers to their liking, so we'll have to see how that all kind of pans out. We make our way now through the left-hander of turn number 9 and then on towards turn number 10. So all of these pros now starting to get themselves into a really, really strong position to get themselves in suits for this final part of this qualifying session. Harrison Crowther over the line will start us off.
Championship leader in the Pro into turn number 1 with a 29-point lead in this as we go into the S's, trying to keep that car as much on the limit as possible. Keep the perfect line and onto the back straight. Carry as much as you like. Up in the 6th gear as you reach 160 miles per hour. Going into the braking zone. Do you reach 170? No, you don't. Over the curb. And just pushing that car as much as you can, using as much curb as possible into the right-hander, the banked off 5, and then into the forested section. You don't go onto that little in road, which makes Watkins Glen somewhat of an oval, and in towards turn number 6 and onto the grass a little bit there. Maybe the tyres getting a bit of dirt onto them, into the toe and through the right-hander, heading towards the heel. You see the catch fences, and as you were saying, Adam, just before, this little deja vu to Alton Park as you go over the crest into the braking zone through the right-hander. A little bit of runoff there on the outside, and uses it actually to have as much space and keep the car validated. Barriers come as close as possible and towards the start-finish line now as we head into penultimate.
2:10 then with Harrison Crowther. Getting right on the edges of the racer. And trust me, he's going to probably brush the wall on the left-hand side. In fact, yes, he does. I was about to say he's going to touch it, but luckily he didn't. It does. Harrison Crowther so over the line. The initial lap there was Tobias Olsen. My apologies. It's disallowed for Harrison Crowther as we now see Tobias Olsen going to third, 91,000 of Yannick Pelechler. So we'll see how competitive these guys can get, but I imagine the top 6 is all just going to be pros now. Just seeing the competitiveness of that one. I'd see Oscar Bernerton down there in P19. I've been having a look through some karting archives and been spotting the young Swede on. Am I thinking of another Noah? Am I thinking of Noah Osbaldson? I'm gonna retract that, in fact, to say that young Oscar Bernerson has been a strong competitor through these Porsche Cup races, and I've been really excited to see how he's been getting on.
Over the crest, and to be fair, that is the thing. I'm sure Val will be interested to see some karting archives. You'll have to share those with me, Adam, as we make our way through here. The Swede just continuing, but a little bit slower here. No personal improvements so far in those first 3 sectors. Harrison Crowther improving slightly in sector 2 and sector number 3. Nick Madsen in P number 10 actually improving pretty nicely as we see the 188 here of Harrison Crowther make their way through the final few corners. And we should be valid here. Hopefully shouldn't be invalid as we get very close to that barrier right at the end and past the bowling sign, which is forever iconic with Watkins Glen, across the line, and by 0.011 here it's going to be Harrison Crowe for P number 3, as it's going to be Gergo Garcia, who is P number 1 with a 1:45.830.
Really good time so far. Gergo Glacier managing to go first, but that gets toppled by our Bathurst winner of Sergei Nefediev. So I'll be interested to see how this kind of evolves now, because we're at peak temperatures here. We're at pretty much peak track evolution as well. So drivers will be able to push forward, but it's just about the heat cycles. You know, some drivers may be overheating the car, or the tyres, I should say. Are they taking the best out of the tyres already before you hit that 32-minute mark? It's a real balancing act these drivers are really playing upon. Tobias Olsen goes purple in that second sector, so the 191 really building here. Harrison Crowe, remember, his first lap time being disallowed, and the Briton will really look to be pushing forward and see if he can maybe topple as he continues to lead the championship here in the pros over Alex Rogers and Sergei Nefediev.
Yep, and don't forget, there is one thing you have to think about. You were talking about the tyres there. You got to keep them for qualifying, but you've also got to think about the race, because you're only going to have 60% fuel capacity, and it takes about 6 seconds to change a tyre each time, which you will do at your refuel. So I'll be interested to see how the stats will play out when we get to the race. But at the final, almost taps the barrier and going to come to the line for Tobias Olsen. Crofer goes into P number 1. Olsen is going to put it down, and a 1:45.596. Gergo Glacier goes into P number 2. The Hungarian is right up there as well. So Harrison Crofer thought they had it for just a second, but then quickly dethroned is the Briton, as Sergei Nefediev, as it's going to be Nefediev who goes up into P number 2 now. I have got to be wondering what is going through the head of Crofer right now.
Yeah, he'll be a little bit frustrated, I think. But as I said, right at the beginning of this qualifying session, I thought there would be about 5 or 6 pros in that top, just covering the entirety of it. And I'm right. Sego, Olsen, Nefediev, Glacier, Crowther, Nagler. What can Madsen do? What can Louis Butler do, who managed to get a podium on his debut last time out at Spa-Francorchamps? The youngster will look to really push on forward. Alex Rogers, only 15th. Big moment there for the Briton. He's going to have to try and find half a second, which is not going to be easy, because we can only display 4 sector times at a time. So we've got Crowther, Olsen, Butler and Madsen already just filling that up. We can't exactly see what Rogers is doing, but I imagine, they've not been the best at times so far, unless he is being able to pull some absolute belters of sectors that we're just not being able to see. But yeah, Crowther will go over the line in just a moment's time, and I don't think he's going to be improving either. No.
So not long left on the clock. You're going to start to see these runs happen here now, as they will be pushing these cars right to the limit of the end. Nick Madsen, it's going to be the Danish driver who gets up at P number 7. Alex Rogers goes into P number 9 for the Breton. So getting inside that top 10 now. Baharai, Bernson and Palavo. This is another thing to think about, because we've got Butler in there as well. It is a nice little mix of what we're seeing. Joey Ireland, this is one of the things though. Joey Ireland, who's an amateur, is ahead of several pros. So really does show that class isn't everything at the end of the day. And this is going to be Destelaz, who's making their way through, currently down in P26. So it's going to be the 1-2-4 looking for a major improvement right now, with their fellow Swiss driver up into P number 6.
I'm going to quickly mention, you say about Joey Ireland being ahead of a couple of pros. He is, we have Wiley Blair in charge of contention. They have 10 places separated from them. That's a massive amount for a race like this. Tobias Olsen is going purple in that middle sector, but I wonder if he's having to save in that third sector. We're about to see the revealing of the fourth. Harrison Crowther is a little bit down on his sector times and continue to do so, but he'll be able to get one more lap time in before the clock hit 0. Look at that run through turn number 10 using absolutely everything, and he's gone into the wall. Harrison Crowther into the wall. And that is a complete shock and not what you need. His qualifying session is done.
What on earth? Oh, is it just, yeah, grass, too much and right into the barrier. The tyres dug into the dirt and it kept the car left. That just proves, try to use as much circuit as possible, but one miscalculation and it can bring it to an end. They're going to have to settle for the second place on the second row as Tobias Olsen moves over to the side. You have got to feel for the Breton.
Yeah, you really, really do. I'd like to see that again just before we go into maybe the race, because that was a really, really hefty incident. But you see here, Louis Butler is now pulling over to the side. I think a lot of these drivers have had the best of their tyres. They've done absolutely very little to be able to pretty much get the best out of it. But there you go, that is your grid so far. But we'll get a replay quickly here. Harrison Crowther once again through the left-hander using all the curve, and that just pitched the car to the left-hand side. Now he's having to brake on the grass. That then sends the rear of the car into a spin, and then he just snaps back into that barrier, and that was the hit that really sent him into a horrible, horrible direction. But yeah, very, very lucky that Harrison Crowther is in fact starting P4 here. So that would be a really, really kind of big saviour, I think, to his race. So here is the grid then. It's going to be Tobias Olsen on pole position. Sergei Nevediev, big improvement from the Russian for the last couple of races. He'll start in second. It's going to be Gergo Glacier alongside Harrison Crowther on that second row. Nick Nagler will be alongside our Pro-Am pole sitter of Yannick Pletchler. Nick Madsen will be in 7th, followed by Hayden Puttock, the pole sitter, the championship leader in the Pro-Ams. Alex Rogers will be 9th championship challenger. He'll be alongside Emma Ryu, with Alexis Luliet and Jensen Andreasen, Spa's last time out winner. Louis Butler will start in 13th. Joey Island, pole sitter in the amateurs, will be 40th. That 7th row is going to be the one to look at. Matis Gorechki will be alongside Alexi Bari, with Oscar Bernardson alongside Ballet Pala. That will be 2 pros in the pro category on that ninth row of the grid. And we find Timothy Mitusov alongside Christian Maltarek, with Jason Munson and Violation. Nikolai Polyakov and Wiley Blair will be on the 12th row of the grid. Then we find Marcel Gushka with Ilan Destraz and Luke Van Vliet. The Dutchman will look to go from that 14th row. He'll be alongside the Norwegian of Matt Strand. Francesco Miraglia will be alongside Marcus Dietrich, and all amateur 15th row, with Luke Blow, big championship leader, down in 31st. Joaquin Jimenez from Michael Formato, with Negi Zombor, Daniel de Groot, Roy Swilson will be next up. Then it will be Simon Darch on the final row of the grid. We're set to go here at Watkins Glen International. We wait for the cars to get set then. The lights will be coming on very, very shortly. We set for the 6th round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship of Season 16. Clutches in, build the revs, watch for the lights, and we go racing. It's a good start there from Timothy Olsen off the line, but going in defensive is Gergo Glacier. The Hungarian will look to try and break as late as he can, defend that position from Harrison Crowther, but it's a good start there from Olsen from Nevediev. But what can the second row do to try and challenge? They're going side by side. Here comes Crowther up the inside line to try and steal 3rd place. They'll now look to do battle for each class. An overall position attack there from Harrison Crowther. That sent him with a little bit of damage to go for the 1 hour race. Now here comes Nick Nagler. Nick Matz is going to try and pile in, but look at the queue that's forming down the back straight.
And it's round in the back, it seems, but they're just about keeping the cars going through the inner loop here as you go side by side between so many drivers. Jimenez and Strand fighting a little bit further forward. Somebody's off onto the side, and that is going to be Willy Eisen, who after an absolutely amazing qualifying is down to P36, Dosh is out of this race up there, who went round, and that's not what anybody would have wanted. MLVU has had a bad start. They're down in P14. Pletcher gets ahead of Puddock to take the lead in the Pro-Am. And you've got Puddock, Tom and Malarek making their way through. Ahead of Puddock and Pletcher. They fought, now back into the lead for Pro-Am there. Side by side is Rogers and Butler in towards the braking zone. Apologies, it's Louis and Burnson. Burnson on the outside, Louis goes inside. And now you've got Pala the Hungarian, who wants to have a bite of the cake as they try to go around the outside as we head through 9 and 10. Just about keeping them together, but nothing too major apart from those two drivers out so far. Coming towards the end of lap number 1 here, Pala and Liu still side by side into the final few corners. And into the final one, it's going to be Burnson who sends it up the inside, and that's themselves up into P15.
Yeah, really, really good start. Very, very little chaos, but I can imagine they're just trying to keep themselves conservative for the majority. But look at that. Who's that down the inside? Is that going to be Timothy Mitusov, the Russian driver who's looking to fight for some positions in the Pro-Am? Side by side through the S section is not something you want to be doing every single time, but Mitusov is really going down the place. I wonder if he's hit a little bit of a momentum bump there, or a momentum loss I should say, making their way down into toward the inner loop chicane. Hard on the brakes, trying to hit the curbing, and they make their way through now. Again, get on the brakes before winding your way through turn number 6 and then on towards the chute here at Watkins Glen. I think the action is going to stay a little bit quiet for now. There'll be a couple of pointers here and there, but nothing too major. This is Will Ison. We'll see how he does. And he got spun there. He got spun by, I believe it's Nikolai Polyakov for the Armentario Academy. So that will be a little bit disappointing there for him, as Will Ison will have to now try and gain back his positions.
There'll be a story to follow throughout the rest of this race, as you've got the driver of Christian Malarek currently trying to fight their way through 3 positions down, but Destolaz is going to have something else to say about that as the Swiss driver makes their way up into P23, as I believe, have you just seen something I missed, Adam?
Not from my vision. But down towards turn number 11, seems line of stern. So we've had a little bit of an error. One of the purple cars, I think that was Luke Van Veed in the amateurs. So I think he's had a little bit of an error. He's going to be overtaken here by not 1 car but 2. You see, it looks like Gushka is having a little bit of blinking issue, unless he is actually just retired from this race. So we'll keep yourself up to date on that one. Almost 3 wide through the S's. That's pretty dangerous there. Francisco Meraglia. There's contact. There's 2 drivers in the wall. Marcus Dietrich and what looks to be Daniel de Groot involved in that one. And that's what happens when you go 2 wide through the S's section. You risk yourself drastically, and things can go wrong so quickly. Let's get a replay on this one. Let's have a look. See, down towards the left-handed there, side by side, ping off the wall there from Dietrich, and just Daniel de Groot had nowhere to go. He was pretty much body slammed into that Armco barrier. So very unfortunate for the pair of them.
Very unfortunate indeed. Butler and Rogers a little bit further back are going to be skirmishing as we make our way through the ankle and into the heel, apologies, as we go inside, and a little bit of tapping between the two. Door to door, Pala may have a cherry, but no, it's round for Pala, the Hungarian, as they made their way through the left-hander. Tried on the inside. I don't know if that was a little bit too much turning, or maybe just a little too light on the brakes for Pala. Be nice to get a little bit of a replay on that one, but then that's themselves down into P34 now. So in the span of 1 lap, we've had 3 drivers who have now fallen majorly down the order, who could have been big players in this one, and we'll have to leave that one to the stewards to have a look at.
Yeah, it just seems like it's not going into one, but again, we're going side by side through the S's section. Oh my goodness me, that could have gone all sorts of wrong. That's Maciej Góreczki and Alexei Bari, the Ukrainian and the Polish driver, going side by side, and they're still going at it. I think also that's Nikolai Polyakov in the green flame white car in the background there. He gives a little bit of a punt there to what seemed to be Bari in that case, which is exactly who it is. They'll go side by side down toward the chute. Alexei Bari not wanting to give this up. The fuel level is at about 60%, so around about the half an hour mark, 35-minute mark, you'll see these cars making their way into pit lane. But again, here comes Polyakov round the outside of Alexei Bari, and that was a good move there from the Russian.
Up in 17, and it looks like Mitsuov may want to go down the inside, as they are going to try round the outside. In fact, for one of the drivers, Gushka getting past Munson, who is now fallen also behind Estraz into the inside line, and it's going to be pretty smooth sailing for the Russian of Mitsuov for the time being. Baharai going to be playing safe for the time being. Just wait for the circuit to widen up a little bit before attempting another overtake as we come onto the main straight here, nearly at the 10-minute mark. So just under 5/6 of the, just over 5/6 of this race left to go. And you do start to wonder, when are these drivers going to start to think about strategy with that fuel, with the limit on how much the fuel tank can hold? We'll wait and see as we make our way throughout the rest of the circuit up into the S's now. Nobody side by side as Harrison Crofer is going to get past Gergo Glacier a little bit further forward. That's Harrison up into P number 3. Gergo is going to have to settle for P number 4 now. And that was just, I don't think we'll need a replay of that. I think it's pretty clear. Just one of those classic momentum overtakes down the back stretch.
Indeed,
we're going to get one anyway.
Oh, here comes Harrison Crowther. Let's see what has happened here in this little replay. Down towards what seems to be the chicane. He's going to be on that outside line. And it looks like there, an easy overtake there on what I believe is Gergo Glacier. And I can confirm that it was Gergo Glacier. I believe the Altitude 3M esports driver of Crowther and the C's esports academy driver of Gergo Glacier. I believe they're batting away in the team's championship. Last time I had them, they were 2nd and 6th here, so a couple of 100 points off between each other, but still remaining in the top 6 no less. But Góreczki, oh, that's going to be Polyakov on the back of Góreczki, and they're really doing battle and just holding up a train. And that was a big cut there from Góreczki, saying absolutely no you don't, and he gets scared off the road. Polyakov will go straight on through, and this is what the loss of momentum looks like.
Just so many cars around you, and now it's going to pay the price. 1, 2, 3 already passed. Is it going to be a 4th as James and Munson is going to make their way through, which they do in towards turn number 1 now. Going to be side by side with the Stellars for just a moment, who might try to cut under as we exit out of 1 here, and making it all the way through to the S's. Real quick, while you were talking about that, Adam, for the championships, Altitude 3MO esports currently leads in that one. Ice Cold Racing P number 2, and SCSE Esports Academy is down in P number 6, 652 for SCSE Esports in P number 6, Altitude on 914. As we continue to fight our way around here, it's going to be outside here actually for Alex Rogers as we make our way through this circuit for just a moment.
Alex Rogers will go now on the outside. I've done the fantastic thing. It's a professional, usually will do, is switch off his microphone and forget to turn it back on again. Classic mistake from myself. But Alex Rogers continues to now make his way past Joey Island, and that's a critical move here. Alex Rogers will need to try and close up here towards that top 10, and I wonder if that's going to be something that he can do in that second stint. He didn't have the best of qualifying. He struggled to get past Joey Island. He's got two of his fellow pros behind him in Louis Butler and Oscar Bernison. So I just wonder if those are going to be ones that are really going to be pushing forward in that second scene. And also, Alexa, don't worry, I will take you up on that looking through the karting entry list archive, because trust me, there's some absolute blinders that I've seen before. So we'll go into our own little call and we'll have a bit of fun with that. But the fun at the moment is the race going out at the moment, just over 11 minutes into this race. Louis Butler about to set up a move here on Joey Island.
Eyes goes to the driver ahead. It tries to make it round the outside. Louis Butler into the outer loop, and just about it's going to be Butler ahead of him now. All over these curbs, they're using this track to the absolute limit of its usage. As the car's just gone around in the background, I couldn't quite catch the name before it dropped off the board, but that is going to be Jason Munson, who is down now into P number 32. Is it contact? Hopefully we'll get a replay, and here it is, but it's already what we're going to see here. Just into orders, there is Mateusz Gorecki, and not at all what either of the drivers want. My God, and apparently there's another, couldn't quite catch that, but there's another driver who's gone off as well.
Bally Impala potentially. No, Francesco Maraglia. So does he get tapped or does he do it himself? Oh, they go side by side in towards the chicane. It's a classic mistake of drivers not knowing when to lift. Oh, that's going to be a big accident. And that was Bally Impala. Yeah, that was really, really silly, I think, from Maraglia, just not checking at all who was coming. And that's the result of when you don't check, you give another driver a faithful of Porsche backside.
I mean, either way you look at it, like, the steward's going to have an eye to remember, I would think, as we make our way up through the right-hander, as here's another replay, and I believe, yep, this is going to be on board with Bally Impala as we make our way through the bus stop, and yeah, that's on Maraglia.
So I think a clear penalty going in the way of the Dutchman. We'll resume back to the action where we find Joey Island now being overtaken by Louis Butler. Next on the cars behind him is going to be Oscar Bernison. Now Oscar Bernison, of course, two classes above him, but that shouldn't stop Joey Island. If he had the pace on him, he should absolutely be able to hold on to him. He will fight until that pit stop to really be able to fend from Oscar Bernison. This is P13, and any position will give you big points in your championship, no matter if that's class or if that's overall. And for now, Joey Island's going to be really focusing his mind on his class, and he can really be able to breathe a sigh of relief as he's thinking about that, because he's got Christian Maltarek in 20th. He's 8 seconds down the road from the Briton. So that's going to be something that I'm sure that Joey Island will try and think about in his mind, but I think he's going to continue to be competitive and think about his own races. Nick Nagler, the young German driver, will look to try and push on. He is the last in the train of pros here. I think he's being challenged here by Hayden Pusick, the championship leader in the Pro-Ams.
Indeed he is, and the slipstream comes into effect. It's a perfect hole in the air as all the cars are identical, making our way into the bus stop chicane and just the inner loop, I should say, and just nice, smooth, playing the game for a nice, smooth amount of time. As I'm just looking here, that is Gergo Glacier in front, right? There is a little bit of a dint. Am I seeing a little bit of a dint on the front end of that Porsche, or do I need to put my glasses on?
I haven't quite seen it yet, but if that's something if you've spotted, then good on ya. That is a bit of a dent. It is. So Nick Madsen has had a little bit of a bump with well, I'm not going to continue that sentence, but he's had a bit of a bump with another driver in front of him. That may have been happening right at the start when everyone was so clumped together, when very little space was on the offer. I think Nick Madsen may have just caused that. Now that's going to be a little bit kind of troublesome in terms of the aero side. You know, that is going to be a little bit of interrupted airflow on the car, so that shouldn't be too much of a hindrance, but it may just be. We see the wonderful Oscar Bernison with a fantastic profile picture, still chasing down Joey Ireland, but this might be one of the best opportunities he has. And we now see already Ireland, I think, is positioning his car to go very, very defensive toward that first corner. Oh, he thought about it.
Yeah, well, you can think about it, but if you can't execute on it as the wipers are on for Bernson's car, then never turned off. As you make your way up and through the S's, a little bit of marbles being thrown up into the air as we saw the little black speck just fly by the cockpit and in towards the back straight now for the Swede, trying to get past the Briton as we make our way into the inner loop and just about keeping it steady over the curbs. And I'm very much keeping within that slipstream, but now pulls a little bit tighter on the line and still there. So Joey Ireland will be looking in the mirrors and seeing Bernson right inside it, and you do continue through the left-hander and just a nice smooth thing. And if you are new to watching this series as well, you may notice something. The numbers on the cars, if it starts with a 1, they're a pro. If it's a 2, they are a pro-am. And if it's a 3, they are a amateur driver in classification. So that's how you can do it. And do correct me if I'm wrong here, Adam, but the classification is simply by iRating.
I believe so. So it's pretty much judged on your iRating if you're a pro, if you're a pro-am or an amateur. But again, you can be a really, really quick amateur. Really battle up with kind of the top ends, exactly like Joey Ireland is doing. And if you do want to get involved in some of these races, then you can go out to Apex Racing Academy or Apex Racing TV, preferably Apex Racing Academy. You can check out all of our current events that are going on. You can also join the Discord to be notified of future events, and then you can go from there and start racing with all these top drivers here. But yeah, that was a moment. You're right. Somebody noticed it in my ear, but yes, that was correct. Louis Butler's had a bit of an error here, so now this is going to be a big run down toward the chicane.
3 cars, and that slipstream is only going to get bigger now as we make our way through and tidy, as Joey Ireland actually on the exit of it seemingly went a little bit wider. I don't know if that was because a little bit of a slipping, but it seems for the time being, as we see Gushka get past Baholai, as a little bit of a slowdown penalty there for the Slovakian driver for a moment. And now just making our way through once again through the right-hander. And Joey Ireland, I will say this, is putting on an absolutely lovely defence, because Bernson has been all over the back of him, and yet Joey Ireland has just put that car in the right place and they haven't been able to attempt to pass yet.
No, I think that at the moment you're just trying to keep yourself in tandem. For now, you can, you probably want to wait until a big opportunity comes your way. But I think Oscar Bernison does have the pace at the minute. He's just trying to also conserve tires at the same time, bearing in mind that is a set of tires that has to go, 35, 40, maybe 40 minutes at the maximum. So it'll be a real case of looking after the tires on what is a circuit that can really push them, especially down in toward the boot section. But a big move there from Oscar Bernison. That move was coming, and it finally turned out to be but a mistake on the exit of the 90, and back through goes Joey Ireland. So big moment there in this little battle, and look at Louis Butler just scurrying off into the distance.
Just playing it for the time being, and you're saying Butler screwing off into the distance. That is another thing, but another thing to point out here, Adam, look in the background, because you've got Ryu and Polikov, even Mitsuov and Gushka there, they've also closed in on this fight now as well. So the more that you fight another driver, sure, you are going to pick up positions, but you've also got to think about everybody else around you, because the drivers in front can get away and the drivers behind can catch up. So the Italian and the Russian now starting to come into this one as Bernsen goes up and under as we went through the toe, and that's Bernsen in the P13. And now you've also got Polyakov, who's going to be trying on Liu here, and they are going to go side by side right in the moment. A little bit of tapping here, and Liu has to go down the inside as Joey Ireland also goes deep into the heel, and that is all over within a matter of 3 corners. Joey Ireland down 2 places.
Yeah, that's really unlucky there for Joey Ireland. I felt a little bit sorry, but he kind of got acted as a battering ram in that scenario. But Polyakov managing to make the move there down towards turn number 11 and off towards the first corner. This was on board with Oscar Bernardson. So looking down towards the toe here of the boot section, and that was the mistake there from Joey Ireland. That little slide there just opened up the opportunity. We saw how bad the momentum loss is around this circuit. It's happened multiple times, and it's just happened there. Now we've got Timothy Mitusol, who's able to look to maybe try and get past the Briton this time around, and this will be a little bit of a worry here for Joey Ireland, because if he gets overtaken here by Mitusov, he'll be maybe looking under pressure from Gushka and then Bari, and then after that it's Christian Maltarek, Luke Blow and Wiley Blair all in a row. They're separated by, what is that, 0.8 of a second? That's absolutely nothing in this case.
Yeah, at this point, Joey Ireland really has to think about the people behind him. Earlier, it was a bit of a thing of, I've got the gap, I don't really need to worry too much, but I do still need to worry, whereas now, it is a thing of, these other people in my class who are fighting me for this championship are even closer than they were a single lap ago. So Joey Allen really going to have to think about that now, as here is Alex Rogers, P number 7 in the pro class. 3 drivers between themselves and Nick Nagler, who is P number 7 overall. As this is an overtake, as here comes Alex Rogers to get P10 overall, and just about keeping it going as we go in towards the start-finish line, across the start-finish line, I should say, down the inside. Nice, classic, lap 1 overtake. In fact, up and under.
Alex Rogers staying in front there. So good move there from Alex Rogers. Needs that for his championship chances. But as I said, Alex Rogers looked like he was somebody who was maybe a little bit down after qualifying. I'm pretty sure if we had a quick conversation, he would have said, yeah, I expected a little bit more from that qualifying session. But he's managed to get past Alexis Lulier for P10 now. So up to the top 10 for Alex Rogers in this case. So he's really being able to make moves. He's managing to maintain pace with the likes of Olsen, with Nesvediev and Crowther as well. So he's now going to try and maybe do something strategy-wise to clear some of the drivers up ahead. So the likes of Pacha, the likes of Nagler, and some Patek as well. They're going to be the ones that he's now going to be looking for in terms of strategy. And then he will try and maybe use some clear space or some clear space, or maybe just some pure pace to be able to then maybe catch onto that top 5 that is all full of pro category cars. We almost have hit the halfway distance of this race, so expect drivers to be coming in very, very soon.
Yeah, and this is another thing that I think we'll need to think about. It takes about 6 seconds to change a single tyre. So how many tyres will these drivers change? I would expect the front tyres to be swapped out. So that's 12 seconds. But will some drivers take rear tyres as well? Especially at a circuit like Watkins Glen. It will be interesting to see the different strategies that these drivers do take, as this is Harrison Crowther. Of course, started P number 4 after a crash in qualifying, as that's going to be Janik Pletcher who gets past Nick Nagler, as Nick Nagler actually has a slowdown penalty further back. So that's going to hinder themselves as they come onto the back straight here towards the inner loop. And this will be Adrian Assens, who is right behind them as we go into the braking zone. The German on the defensive, and they've got the Belgium, who is right behind them. Although a little bit of snapping there for Adrian Assens, but they do have the inside line, and Nick Nagler will lose out here. In fact, goes even wider, and Alex Rogers also goes through in that one. So the German down into P number 10, and this is the replay here of Jannik Pletcher as we make our way in towards turn 1.
Yeah, indeed. We'll get to see, hopefully, all of that. So that's a big wide moment there from Nick Nagler, so the Lion GP Fence.com team having a little bit of an issue. That caused a slow down. That then stops his momentum, as we've seen about 50 times in this race so far. That really did slow down the momentum for Nagler. Then, of course, went wide through turn 5, and that's where we find him now, down in P10. So Nagler having all sorts of issues. Meanwhile, Polyakov is having a big old ding-dong here with what seems to be the Project 91 racing team driver of Emma Ryu. Two green, a predominantly green car and a predominantly white car, with their secondary colours being the opposite of what I've just said. So that's going to be something to take into consideration. Big hit at the side of the barrier there for Polyakov, so I wonder how much that will slow him down. Emma Ryu will get an opportunity to move into the 13th, but not quite. Joey Island also in there as well. Now we've got a pit stop coming in for Louis, the new driver, Louis Butler, and then we've had a change for second, it seems, with Crowther taking enough of Diaz. But again, here comes Ryu up toward the chicane. We go down towards the right-hander. Over the bumps goes Polyakov, and managing to get straight back in front. That was some incredible driving. I genuinely thought there was going to be an incident between the two.
That was, one, beautiful, and two, quite a bit of airtime in that one, but that was absolutely clean racing at its finest for a moment there. And now Joey Island will send it inside, side by side here, getting millimetres apart there with Polyakov, as they do go side by side, and they do continue here. But it looks like it's going to be almost making contact with Mitsuov there. It looked like Mitsuov was actually going to try go the long way around, as Joey Island now goes a little bit deeper and loses out. You've got Mitsuov, who's right in the mix of it. 3 in triangle as you make your way out through 9, 10 and into 11, into these final few corners. These 4 drivers have been absolutely astounding in this previous lap. But as it comes to an end for the time being, Joey Island followed by Ryu and Mitsuov. As onto the background, you've also got Baharai here, as this is the replay. This was Harrison Crowther making their way past and just making their way into the right-hander. Is it going to be a classic momentum overtake? I would think so. Yes, it is. Into the inner loop. Classic move for Watkins. Glen. Harrison Crowther up another position into P number 2.
Yeah, really, really good stuff there. With those 3 cars, were we watching a Porsche Cup race, or were we watching I feel a demolition of the Red Arrow? But it was just the 3 of them. This has been mighty stuff. It's up the inside goes Timothy Mitusov. Strong move by the Russian driver. Elbows out and everything. Oh, that was almost Emma Ryu. That's going to be up the inside. That's going to smell trouble. I could smell that coming from a mile away. And Timothy Mitusov is put in the barrier. I think Maltrek is going to go through. So is Luke Blow. For sure, it's going to be Maltrek, but yeah, Blow will be on the horns here. He'll be trying to see if he can go back through, but that was, I think that was coming from a mile away.
Yeah, all good things must come to an end, and it seems like the coin was flipped a few too many times, as here comes Timothy Mitsuov once again on the inside as we head through the heel. and into the left-hander of the ankle. Ever so close between these two drivers, but still putting on a shot and into the barrier, and it's going to be collected for Jimenez as well, I think, as we go all the way round. Luke blows round, Malcorrect's round, and almost Luke blowers a meatball, and now, without a doubt, Mitsuov into the pit lane.
Yep, they're going to have to come into the pit lane now. That's a lot of damage on multiple cars here. So that's going to be Malcorrect, Blow, and Mitusov. So that has absolutely ruined some of the podium sitters in the amateur class. We'll get to see what happens here. So Timothy Mitusov, them on that outside line, trying to go around the 320. And then I think maybe, yeah, they should come to blows. And then Luke Blow, unfortunately, getting involved in that. Almost a 244 getting involved in that one. That's Joaquin Jimenez. Very, very lucky with Joaquin Jimenez. But there you can see them just serving pit stops. But I think they just hooked on together. That's the only kind of only thing I could say there between Mitusov and Malcorrect. They both just hooked onto each other. Luke Blow had no idea that was happening until maybe a second beforehand, and then he just got ran into, and then Joaquin Jimenez would have just come upon it and just gone, what do I do here? I'm just going to full throttle through it, and that's exactly what he did and going on through. However, we now move on to the main kind of star attraction of the race. It's the lead battle. This has been a gap that has risen up to almost, 2-3 seconds at one point during the race between the top three. I don't know if it's Olsen now saving in the latter stages, or his tyres now coming to an end, or maybe there's been some saving from Crowther and Neferdiev. I'm not kind of sure which way the dice have been rolled, but we now find ourselves with the top three separated by 1.1 second, and Harrison Crowther is in a huge position to be able to go on through. He's got the straight line speed, so he's added a little bit of less downforce here to his Porsche compared to maybe Olsen. But this could be a spicy battle just before we head into the race for pit lane.
Yeah, I think that's the thing as well, what we need to think about here. Because of the cap with the fuel, you're looking around 35 minutes. You can maybe stretch it a little bit longer, but it's 35 minutes realistically. And maybe Olsen is just trying to conserve that a little bit more. But Crowther, on the other hand, I would say he wants to get the overtake done before pit lane. Because if they can be the first into the pit lane, they can be the one to control the pace if they come back out ahead, rather than having to chase down. So we're going to have to wait and see here, as we got 33 minutes in now, just over the halfway mark, in towards the left-hander. And Neferdiev is still there as well. They've got a lovely front row seat. So watching what these two drivers do in front of them as they go through the left-hander, one into penultimate, and then into final, and they will look like, yep, another lap they will stay out for. So I would suspect at the end of this one, they'll be coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, they've been battling very, very hard amongst each other, so I expect them to definitely make a move for the pit lane. And to be honest, I don't really want it to end because they've been so entertaining so far. As Emma Ryu and Alexi Bari continue to do battle for 15th. Also got Marcel Gushka, who will be staying out as both of them come into the pits, and oh my goodness me, that's going to be Emma Ryu sidewards. Bari's made it to the pit lane, but Emma Rio's going to have to continue. You can't really reverse onto the racetrack because that would be dangerous and be legible for penalisation. But let's have a look, see what happened here, because here comes Emma Ryu through the left-hander. They're both coming into the pit lane anyway. Not the best camera angle. Oh, and Bari's got his braking arguably right. Oh, he tried braking later than the Project 91 racing team driver of Ryu, and then just went straight into the back of her. And then Emma Ryu had absolutely no option but to just continue for another lap. Absolute madness happening down here in Watkins Glen. But we'll get a quick on board with Alexi Bari onto the brakes. Oh dear.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I do think that Emma is the one at fault there, because Watkins, Glen, and just racing in general, it's a very clear rule that you have to be within those pit lines when you are coming into the pit lane. And they do start about halfway, maybe the third quarter, down that little straight coming into the final corner. And from those angles, Emma was not within those lines by the time she decided she was going to be coming into the pit lane. So either way, I do think that may have been a cause for penalisation.
It is possible. It just depends on what the kind of race instructions. Of course, I believe these drivers may have been briefed. We've now cut to the race lead here, because here comes Harrison Crowther on that outside line. He's going to try and carry a lot of speed. There's contact between the two. Airball for Harrison Crowther. He's round. He's taken Olsen onto the grass. But Olsen survived. Crowther down 2 places. Nefediev did absolutely nothing there. Just picked his way up into P2. Frantic stuff here in this 1 hour race. And Gergo Glacier is going to have his... having the opportunity to put his name into the gauntlet.
But you know, don't worry, Adam, I did the same thing. I also accidentally forgot to turn my microphone back on. As here comes Crowther, as it has been a night to forget. It's been a bad night for him so far. Still P number 3, but that's 2 times tonight that they've had a moment, and they're going to have to go again, as we do get a replay here of what happened. They was ever so close side by side, and they do go side by side. Initial contact, and just the brakes lock up. I do think as they went through, that could have been a lot worse there, but just a slight little tap, and that's it.
Yeah, indeed. I think that Harrison Crowther, I think if worse come to worse, he would have taken out himself and Tobias Olsen, and then had to have served a qualifying ban for the next race, which would not have been good. I can tell you what race is next. It's Barcelona Catalunya, round 7 of the championship, but that's not the most important thing. Now, what is important is Crowther and Madsen are into the pit lane. This is where things will now start to build. If you are kind of a leading driver, Polyakov makes his way into the pit lane. Here comes Sergei Nefediev. Down towards the chicane he goes, and he just decides to do what Harrison Crowther didn't, and that is back off going in towards chicane. He's going to try and maybe do it at a different opportunity this time around, so we'll see how that goes. Matis Goretzky also joined the trio into the pit lane.
So you are starting to see the strategies playing now with all these drivers coming in the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see where everybody reshuffles once these pit lanes are completed. But Tobias Olsen is still just about, the Swede, having a pretty standard race, to say the least. They've had pretty smooth for the time being. Of course, not done their pit stop yet, so we'll wait and see where the 191 will come back out onto the circuit after that. Hayden Puddock as well are also in the Pro-Ams, so keep them in the back of your mind towards the end of this one. As Destraz, keep in mind, 12 positions up in this race, looking to make it a 13th for the time being, as we make our way through the right-hander with the Swiss driver, and just trying, and unfortunately failing at that corner to make it through, as Kushka maybe having a few blips as Tobias Olsen comes into the pit lane now. So does Gergo Glacier, and they're into the pits. So now Hayden Puddock stays out, so will Pletcher. Into the pit lane come Eddie Narsens, Nagler and Lahulia Bernson as well. So I would say we're going to, the drivers that you currently see who haven't done a pit stop, I would say we're going to see about 60% of them come in this lap.
Yeah, we will do. The fuel is going to start to run very, very dry in this case. So not long left of this race. We're at 20 minutes till the end. And I think that's where the pace is going to really start to pick up. If the drivers have pitted recently, they've got on new tyres. I really sense that these drivers are going to be able to push to their absolute limit. And then we'll see all sorts of action. We'll see how these drivers then go to attack these last 20 minutes. So I really feel that it's going to be a frantic frantic end to this one. I'm sure there's loads of there's going to be loads of ways I could describe it, but at the moment it's not going to my head at the minute.
And there's Nikolai Polyakov making their way through, and just about they are ahead of Ville Eisen actually. Same with Strand and Jimenez, making it pretty smooth at the moment. Of course, the Aramatario Academy driver makes their way up and through the field. And you were talking about other teams earlier, Adam. This is real quick. Oh, as Harrison Crofer is P5, and that's a black flag. That is... It's gone from a bad night to a worse night to a night to forget for Harrison Crofer, it seems.
It has done. Harrison Crofer is having a bit of a torrid one, I think. Here comes Sergei Nefediev into the pit lane for the number 112. He'll serve his pit stop. He will hope to come out in what is, I believe... how would he be looking to come out? I'm not too sure, because these pits do last a while, but he'll be looking to maybe get himself ahead of the race, the leader of the race, where I can't really find him at the moment. Olsen is 7th. There you go.
Yeah, down in 7th at the moment for Tobias Olsen. Gergo Gesa is going to come into for the time being, take the lead of the race, so having a little bit of a moment. In fact, they're going to be fighting Nefediev for a few moments, coming out of the pit lane now, but just about the Hungarian does get ahead, and Nefediev is going to be right behind him as we do make our way up and through towards the inner loop once again, pit lane exit, and in fact, Gergo Gesa, apologies, is in the lead of this one, because I apparently didn't see their pit stop.
Yeah. So that was going to be an interesting one. Gergo Glacier now puts himself into the lead of the race. That has really changed up the standings here. So Nefediev will be looking to push on forward. Now Putic from Olsen, from Pletchler. Jensen and Dredson looking to be putting himself into 6th place, but he'll be looking to maybe go one step further. If he can overtake the Swiss driver in front of him, I think that would be a very happy story. Louis Butler ending out ahead of Alex Rogers is another interesting story, because Rogers, I think, was batting away in front of Butler, but now finds himself behind due to an undercut from the Briton in P8 there. So that is going to be a really, really well done moment there. It was a long pit stop there, Rogers, so that is why he now sits 9th place compared to the other round. So if he maybe went for a shorter stop, goodness knows where he'd be.
Yeah, well, this is another thing to think about here, Adam. We know it takes 6 seconds to change your tyres, so this does provide us a little bit of insight here. Like, Gergo Glacier's got 15.3 seconds on the jack, so if we're looking around 6 seconds plus fuel, that's most likely only the front tyres. Where with Nefediev, I would say if we do the maths here, it's maybe 3 tyres, or maybe a lucky 4th. In fact, most likely down to damage actually. So it'll be interesting to see what the Russian will be able to do now. Hayden Puddock as well, I do just want to point out, P number 3. So we do have a Pro-Am on the overall podium at this point.
Do indeed. Hayden Puddock looking to put himself into a commanding championship lead with the 3rd place in his back pocket, but it's not confirmed just yet because Tobias Olsen is going to be looking to hunt him down from what was formerly the race leader of the race, Harrison Crowther, now with a slowdown penalty, and that is not the best of luck he has had, so he'll now fall into the clutch of Polyakov. Gushka, you saw there flashing away, that is not him out of the race, that is his internet connection issues. Canadian Michael Formato is having a little bit of an error here. It's a spin. It's a stealth spin for Michael Formato. And it's a disappointing day, I think, for the Canadian driver. He will look to try and come back better and stronger in Barcelona. Or maybe try his second kind of closest home race, Miami International Autodrome, in round 8.
And this is Nagizombo, who has in fact jumped back to the pit lane here as we make our way up and through. Is it? Yep. Caught on the rear end and into the barrier. That is... I would say that they had a bit more circuit to use, but as always, we'll leave it to the stewards. That is... It has been a race to forget for some people, unfortunately, as Hayden Puddock, back to him, he is in P number 3 for the Bretons still, as Tobias Olsen still sitting about 6.7 seconds currently behind them. So that is realistically the only person who can challenge them here. We got 15 minutes or just under left on the clock, as you can see Tobias Olsen just in the background, same with Janik Pletcher.
The race will continue to push on here, and I think that with the pit stops, it's just enabled drivers to really gain an advantage. You know, the likes of Glacier, the likes of course, Puddock as well, I believe. But now Sergei Nefediev is really showing what you can do on fresh tyres. He's really gaining up to the back here of Gergo Glacier, and I think this will be really, really big for the championship lead here because, you know, he sits about 36 points in front of. I believe in front of behind Harrison Crowther. So because Crowther having a bit of a torrid time, the big 30 points, 130 points if he wins this race would be massive to go into Barcelona as the championship leader. Alex Rogers battling away with Louis Butler, that might be something to look at in the moment, but for now you can just see what the fresh tyres are doing. Glacier trying to get that advantage, but it just not works. As Louis Butler now on the outside line doesn't hook up with Alex Rogers. Rogers goes 8th, and maybe damage limitation could be going in the way of Alex Rogers.
As we are going to get a replay here of the full battle of Alex Rogers trying to make their way past, and it was almost cut off actually, but he's able to move to the side quick enough to not cause a collision. Looks and goes round the outside for the moment, ever so close between the two. Maybe a little bit of door banging as we headed into 9 through the left-hander, still side by side, the 199 and the 104, and that is how Alex Rogers got their way past, just up into their new position. One place up since the race start is Alex Rogers as they made their way through. Alex Rogers now, of course, sitting in P number 8.
The lead battle continues here with Gergo Glacier. He's already having to now go defensive on the Russian driver. You're going to have to really put up a big wall here for the next 12 minutes, will Glacier. So I imagine that's going to take him to about 40, I should say. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a real tough effort for Gergo Glacier. Already you see that on that inside line. There is going to be a gap, but Sergei Nefediev does not go for it. He's trying to set up a move here to find the weakness of the Hungarian driver and just see if he can move in that direction. There's a lot of corners, a lot of that will strain the tyres as well. So it will just take Glacier's tyres into a worse condition down through the last corner. This is where you could do it here, Alexa, down towards the 90 of turn number 1.
Run begins into the toe. It's Gergo Glacier who's ahead of the Russian of Nefediev as they make their way down and past the good old grandstand in towards 90. And just about keeping it for the time being, both drivers using all the curb available. However, was it a little bit too much curb for Gergo Glacier? Maybe, as Nefediev is going to be right in the toe as we make our way up through the S's in towards the inner loop here. And it is inching closer and closer for the Russian. The sights are set, moves to the left-hand side of the circuit right on the screen. But now over the curb for Gergo Glacier through the inner loop. Still side by side for a moment. Up and under opportunity, but it's still going to be the Hungarian who will defend it with everything that they've got, and they make their way through as Adrian Arsens picks up a slowdown further back. A little bit of dirt being kicked up onto the windshield of the Russian, but for now it is going to be the Hungarian who is going to defend it and into the toe once again.
Indeed, it looks like Andreassen's slow down has taken him down to 9th. That elevates Alex Rogers now to 7. So this is a replay now of Alex Rogers getting past Jensen and Dredson, it seems like, down towards the right hander here of the toe. And he managed to go up the inside. Really good move there from the indoor karting race winner, I believe. From what I can see in his profile picture down there, just that little bit of information. Go Glacier still leads then. But down towards turn number 10 and on towards turn number 11, you could just see the change of direction really well from Nefediev. But he's getting a bit of a toe here, down towards the start-finish straight. Go Glacier will just stay on his line for now as Nefediev sees that there's going to be a little bit of a gap, but doesn't go for it initially. Now he's got to try and get an exit here through the S's they all head, and the top of the hill could be one of the most crucial parts of this race. It's been really well defended by Glacier so far, but I wonder if that run's going to come to an end very, very shortly.
Well, you'll find out in a few seconds, as by the second map, it's going to be on the right, left-hand side, but once again, plays it safe, does not want to go side-by-side through the inner loop there. By the maths, by the second, where we've got about 4.5 laps as Tobias Olsen gets into the overall podium as Hayden Puddock picks up a slowdown penalty. Dives it inside, does Nefediev though. It's going to be Gogo Glacier, who's going to be right alongside him. Comes across, moves into the barrier is Nefediev, and it's into the toe now. That is 100% damage for the 1-1-2.
I'm not going to put the fault on anyone there, but it was just a little bit of a tap there from Glacier, and I wonder if that changed the trajectory of Nefediev's Porsche. He will continue to fight, but albeit the mirror has come off the car, that will be something to keep it into idea. There is good damage on the car, and now he's starting to get aggressive. Nefediev was not happy with the actions of Glacier. Now he will do whatever he wants to try and get that position. He's got just over 7.5 minutes left of this race to take that position. We're going right to the wire here in the Glen.
Once again, past the grandstand. And this is going to be ever so close. Inside dives, but round the outside, momentum is still there. These two are giving it everything. Here comes Nefediev as Gogo is right alongside him as we head through the S's.
Yep, through they go up the hill. Apologies, but they will still be side by side. Nefediev hits the barrier on the inside line. Will that be an open opportunity for Go Glacier to try and sweep on through? The tyres are going to start screaming away at Glacier. He'll try that inside line. There's contact between the two. And Nefediev faces 90 degrees. He's looking toward the campers on the left-hand side. And that was bound to happen. Both of them were going so aggressive. Glacier was fighting for his life. And Nefediev just coming off worse.
You've got to think about, we already had a prelude to it on the previous lap. When you're fighting for a lead, ever so important. How can that affect the mindset? Both drivers side by side in towards the bus stop, in towards the inner loop, and just moves across. Nefediev goes off, and looking at the campus like you've aforementioned. And that's going to bring an end to that one. Alex Rogers versus Pletcher at the current moment. Side by side, Alex Rogers, P number 5.
Alexis Lulia, I think, has moved down a place as well. I think he's just dropped to 7th. I think that's maybe old tyres on the Frenchman's car.
It also seemed like Jensen and Dredson down to 10th there, it seems. So I think the Belgian with those old tyres are now starting to move down. So this is now Glacier from Olsen, from Pusick, from Nefediev. Can Alex Rogers try and do something? Because this is going to be very small points separating the two drivers. Now Pletcher having to go defensive with Lulier now in the background. So I talked about Lulier potentially, of course, having old tyres, or I'm not too sure. I can't quite remember what happened with Alexis Lulier, but he's now battling for what is essentially second in the Pro-Ams.
So you may have lost one lead fight, but you get a second place for it in Pro-Am as you go into this chicane once again. Ever iconic in the American circuit and global worldwide. Pletcher is going to be just ahead here. And further forward, this is Hayden Putuk, who is now up against the Russian of Nefediev. You will think, and it's almost guaranteed that there's damage to that Porsche. So here's the replay actually of something further back. As this is Nefediev, who in fact did get back past. Apologies, as it was a little bit wider there for Putuk, and just went inside for Nefediev as they make their way back up in the P number 3. So just a little correction on myself there.
It's smart from Nefediev. I saw that he was trying to build that up against Gogo Glacier. Maybe 2 laps before the incident, he was really trying it, and then it just didn't quite work off because I think Glacier had already centered the car, but with that one, Putuk was right toward the left-hand side trying to open up at T5, but by then, already up to the inside was Nefediev, and that is the case in that one. Oscar Bernerton is going to now start pushing on forward with Andreasen and Madsen in behind, so they're going to go side by side, but this has become alive in the last 15 minutes, and guess what, we only have 3.5 minutes left to go in this race. It's not long whatsoever, so we're expecting maybe 2 laps left of this when we might be able to end it on lap 35. And this is now Pletcher versus Lullier versus Butler in the battle for second for the Pro-Ams.
In a formation, Lahulia there as they try with all their mind contact, and off into the barrier goes Janik Pletcher. It's all coming undone at the inner loop tonight in these final dying minutes. This is the replay once again for it. Janik Pletcher on the inside here. Lahulia is there and onto it, over the crest, gets in the contact, tries to stop the car, but into the barrier, the bumper comes off. And another fight is claimed by the inner loop.
Seems to be making a Watkins Glen fail compilation with the amount of time we're having incidents at the inner loop chicane. This is Alex Rogers down towards the turn 5 corner as he got up the inside of Hayden Putuk. That's a fantastic move. Has he been able to complete the move? Absolutely. That is huge then. So this could see Alex Rogers potentially moving into the championship lead. He has got Olsen in the lead of the race. Nefediev is 4th, is in 3rd, but again, it's not enough points to close. And then you've got Harrison Crowther in the championship lead. He's down in 10th. So this could be a real interesting fight when the points are revealed come Barcelona, Catalunya. I can't wait to have to calculate those after tonight's race.
I think that's the first time, well, meatball for Pletcher, as yeah, that will be for the moment earlier on when the bumper came off. But I think that's the first time I've ever heard a commentator say, "I can't wait to do maths, Adam." So making their way through as up and around the outside as that is Tobias Olsen, who is into the lead of this one. Something has happened to Gergo Geisler, as right there is also going to be Nefediev. So what on earth is happened to the Hungarian? Are they out of fuel? Maybe did they take a little too little, and that is going to be Tobias Olsen now, who's into the lead of this one. Something is wrong with that Porsche as Alex Rogers also goes through.
Oh, this is heartbreak for Gogo Glacier. Down towards the left-hander, and it might be, I like your thinking, Alexa, of he's out of fuel, but I wonder if it's lifting and coasting. So what we like to call, in short, LICO. Having to save the fuel, because every time you lift or you're pressing the throttle pedal, you're using some sort of fuel, whether it's a little amount or the whole
bulk, you are having to use a little bit of fuel as you pretty much go down on the throttle pedal. So that's going to be something to, as by lifting it off down the straight and saving, he's not using any fuel and he's being able to cruise it to the end. So this is absolutely huge in this case. But this is what is now going to be Oscar Bernardson trying to secure 7th place ahead of Louis Butler here. They're going to be one more battle before we end this race. They're side by side. Look at this. Madsen also trying to get involved in the action here. Madsen just squeezing through. Madsen will try and go on the outside lane here of Louis Butler. Big battles commencing here. Harrison Crowther also needs some for his championship battles, but Madsen will try and flick on through. There's going to be a sliding moment from Crowther off the road for the 199. Through on the outside goes Madsen, but he'd have to now find and cut up on the inside line. Some strong stuff here. Slow down for Louis Butler. Up the inside goes Madsen. It's a beautiful send. And he'll move his way up into P7 on the latter stages of this race. What is happening at the front of the league? Because that's just cut down to a second here. Tobias Olsen will be making his way down towards the right-hander. And here is Nefediev. Has Tobias Olsen maybe run out of fuel as well as he's starting to run dry? Butler has a black flag in these critical stages of this race. Burness has been overtaken by Crowther, the championship leader. Now, through the last 2 corners, Olsen will be holding on for dear life. Through on... That was a bit of a wide moment there for Alex Rogers. But through the final corner, this is going to be a sprint to the line using absolutely everything. Nefediev is going to stick it behind. But Olsen claims victory here at Watkins Glen. An absolutely fanatic ending to that one. It was frantic, it was fast. But look at the way this has ended. An incredible, incredible classic Porsche fashion.
Mitsuov and Joey Ireland still fighting further back. Top of the Pro-Am is going to be Puttock. Joey Ireland, even after a little bit of a break earlier though, is still going to come home ahead and take victory in the amateur class with Wiley Blair a little bit lower and Luke Blow just behind them as well. So how will that affect their championship standings? I would say it's going to benefit Joey Ireland in such a way as Gorecki is making their way around the circuit still 12 positions down in this race, unfortunately, as they make their way through the toe now. One of the last 2 drivers to come to the line.
Yep, that was crazy. That was showreel stuff. I'll put it that way. Looks like we got Henry Puttock as your Pro-Am winner, your amateur winner. I'll have a look on our timing screens. That became Joey Ireland, of course. Lights the flag victory for the Altitude Freehand esports driver in 18. But Maciej Gorecki is having his struggles down there in 2017. He's the last driver who needs to cross the timing line. But an absolute wild one as Gorecki goes for a spin. I wonder if that's yeah, we'll let him do what he needs to do. He can go have his fun. I don't know if that's a puncture or what, but it just it was a weird one. But that is going to be the race here at Watkins Glen. 1 hour of frantic action, and we'll get the results for you in just a moment. But Alexa, what are the thoughts and feelings after that race in Watkins Glen as we now look to the cutting point of this championship?
I think it's a tale of 2 stories, realistically, as we do get the results now, so we'll go through those real quickly. It is Tobias Olsen who ends up taking victory tonight ahead of Sergei Nefediev. Alex Rogers comes home in P number 3 and Gergo Gesia comes home in P number 4. Hayden Puddock will come home in P number 5 at the top of the Pro-Am class, followed by Nick Nagler and Nick Madsen, followed by Harrison Crofer, then Jensen Edelin-Assens, and then Nikolai Polyakov comes home in P number 10. Marcel Gouche, followed by Jan Destraz, Vili Eisen, Jacques Jimenez, Olisi Baharai, Timothy Mitsuov, and then Joey Ireland, P17, comes top of the amateur class. Jason Munson comes home in P number 18, with P19 going to Wiley Blair, followed by Luke Blow, Matt Strand, Christian Malarek, Louis Butler, Janik Fletcher, Luke Van Veed, Roy Swielson, and then Oscar Burnson. But do keep in mind, we also had some DNFs. You've got Swielson, Oscar Burnson, Gorecki, Formato, Lahulia, Somba, Emilio, and then you can all see your DNFs there towards the end. But like you were asking, Adam, it was a tale of two stories, right? Because we had some amazing fights, and that last lap was something with all those battles. But I think the bus stop showed the biggest part is no matter how good the battles can be, there's still going to be collisions, and they're definitely going to be looked into, because the biggest one, we lost two big fights due to the bus stop. That, of course, being for P2 in Pro-Am, and, of course, for the actual lead.
Yeah, we did. We will look to kind of see how that all kind of panned out. We do seemingly have one driver in the interview room, Tobias Olsen. Tobias, well, what an incredible night of racing it has been. Kind of take us through the feelings post race.
Yeah, it was quite an interesting race, I would say. The qualifying felt good. One lap pace was good. The pace was good in the beginning of the race, and then I started to lose my rear tires. So yeah, they catched up behind, and then we went side by side into the chicane, I think, the lap before the pit stop. And I don't know really what happened, but it was maybe side-to-side contact, and he spun, I think. Almost spun as well. So and then I spun out of the pits because I did only change the rear tires. That was a mistake as well, I think. And I'm not sure how I won this, actually. It was a bit of luck, I think.
It definitely seemed to go in that direction. What was it kind of looking after the tyres? Because I felt that there was... with these 60-minute races, it seemed like that's kind of one of the key points of this race. How much were you saving? How much were you kind of pushing? And how was it trying to, make it through the race especially during that first stint?
I think the tires went off like on lap 14 maybe, or something like that. I wasn't really saving. I was just currently pushing, maybe a little bit lifting coast, but yeah, it was hard. I think the other guys changed all 4 tires as well in the pit stop. Yeah, it was a challenging race.
And then tell us about kind of those last couple of laps, because there was some really major parts. You would behind at the pit stops, you managed to catch Glacier, and then you had a bit of a slow lap towards the end.
I had no grip on the last lap, so I was just trying to. I saw Sergio was closing like 2/10 per corner or something. It felt like. So I was just trying to put the lines together, and he was like in the right up my ass in the last sector there. So I was like, maybe he dives, but yeah, I think he just wanted to bring the car home as well. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, there must be so much relief. But we now move to the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. That circuit where you may feel that you have a grasp on it, and you're able to maybe capitalize and grab some more big points for the championship.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's the shorter format there as well. That should fit me a bit better, I think, with my driving style. So yeah, it should be good.
And is there any final actually, before I hand over to Alexa, would there be anyone you'd like to shout out?
Just to the team, and thanks to you guys.
Alexa, anything there for Tobias?
Nah, not really. You've taken it all out of my mouth. You've all taken it out of my mouth, really. Tobias Olsen, congratulations on that victory tonight. That was something from the commentary box, so I can only imagine what it must have been like in the car. We shall let you go, and congratulations on your victory tonight at Watkins, Glen.
Thanks.
And
That
that was Tobias Olsen.
It was.
Let's see, who do we do next? We've got 2 drivers, and we'll go with this one. Joey Ireland, you are live on Apex Racing TV.
Hi guys.
Hello. So, there is one. So, we've seen what happened at the front. What was it like in the car for you tonight? Because, especially after that pit stop window, that race became very much battles everywhere. So as someone who was in the midfield of the pack overall, but also having to defend the lead of the amateur class, what was it like out there for you?
I mean, it was difficult, to be fair with you. We started off really strong. The setup we had was great. I don't know if I took a bit of damage on that first stint from a couple of knocks in the slipstream, but yeah, I felt I had really good pace. I was in the mid pack, consistently doing my lap times and, you know, keeping up with the boys in front. But something just happened after that pit stop. I don't know if it was my fault. I didn't take any tyres. I'd have to have a look at the replay. But yeah, after that pit stop, it just felt like I just lost all pace. I think maybe the tyres went off completely. I'll have to see what the other competitors did as well, if they changed the left or anything like that. But yeah, that second stint was not good for me.
Yeah, and obviously we're on we've done a 60 tonight, but we go back to the heat format next week. How are you looking towards that?
I definitely prefer the heat races. It gives me short sprints and kind of lets me ease into it a little bit with trying to get into the final straight away. And yeah, I think these 60 minutes I get a little bit fatigued. It's very hot in this room with no AC, so maybe that plays a part of it as well.
Well, fair enough. I'll hand you to Adam in just a moment, but before I do, anybody you would like to just give a thanks or a shout out to?
Yeah, my team, Altitude 3M Esports, they've been absolutely amazing with me and provided me everything I need, all my coaching, all my setups, and yeah, they've just made me a better driver, so really big thanks to them.
And Adam, anything you would like to ask?
Nothing from me. I just want to say a big congratulations, Joey. Fantastic win in the amateurs. I'm sure we'll see you on the next time out at Barcelona.
Yes, thank you very much for the time, guys.
That was Joey Ireland, it seems, our winner in the amateurs. Next up, I want to bring in Alex Rogers, because it has been a fantastic race from Alex. Alex, you've had a little bit of a struggle in qualifying, but we had a bit of a better race. Let's have a bit of a conversation. What happened in qualifying?
Well, honestly, this is going to sound like a racing driver excuse. I promise you it's not. I've just switched to a different wheel rim and it disconnected. I'm having a few issues with it. This actually happened twice during the race as well. It disconnected, so I didn't have my downshift. My upshift. So I was actually 3/10 up on my lap. I lost my upshift. So that's what happened. And I just thought I'll just have to soldier on and just see what we can do. So yeah, that was what happened in the quali.
That's going to be rough. But let's talk about that first stint, because you seem to be batting with kind of towards the top 10 ish range in that case. How difficult was it trying to get through that kind of sequence of cars?
Really tricky. I would say that there's a lot of fast drivers in this series, in particular in Porsches, so some of which have got a lot more experience in these cars than me, so every race is a learning race. But yeah, it was really tricky, especially in the first stint, because I actually had some wheel damage as well on the right rear, just from an incident with Louis at the start. And also, just while I've got the chance, I had it coming together with Ballon, and I don't know whose fault that was. There was no intent there, it was just a bit unfortunate, so that didn't help the car's condition as well, but it was okay. I was just plugging away and just trying to do what I could on a very hot track and not very sticky tyres.
Yeah, indeed. Then talk about kind of that second stint. You really were able to make up some places. How was that kind of cutting through the field and
being able to put yourself in a really, really good place at the end of the race?
Really fun. It's always really fun being the guy on the fresh tyres when some people didn't pit for the tyres. So yeah, I took the gamble because I thought at this point I've got nothing to lose. I'm teetering on the top 10, so I thought if I can actually make some places up towards the end, we might see some attrition. And I think Sergey, all credit to him, he drove a great race as well. I think he took the tyres too. So yeah, I think everyone that took the tyres was laughing at the end. And it did actually work out the slightly faster strategy. So yeah, it was great fun.
And moving towards Barcelona, Catalunya, is that a circuit you feel strong on, or is that one where you have to really work on?
Absolutely not. Apologies, is that better? Catalunya, not a strong track for me. It is, yeah, I haven't done a lot of laps there, so it's going to be interesting. It probably won't be my strongest round, but you know, it's Porsche Cup, so you show up, see what happens. Sometimes you have a good round, so yeah, looking forward to it regardless.
And finally, before I let you go, or pass you on to Alexa, is there anyone you'd like to shout out?
My old man Steve, he's probably in the YouTube chat somewhere, I should imagine, lurking around. So him, the Muradness team, Daniel Murad's team, they've been great. You guys for putting it on, and everyone that's showing up and racing hard this series, because it's been really good so far. So long may it continue.
And Alexa, is there anyone you would like to shout out? Alexa, is there anything you'd like to ask? I completely messed up my question there.
I was going to say, no, nothing from me. I will just say, Alex, you are correct. They are there. So congratulations on your P3 tonight. I shall let you go and have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
And that was Alex Rogers. We've got time for one quick last interview. Nick Madsen, you are live on Apex Racing TV. Congratulations tonight. That was definitely a race towards the end. Talk us through that, because especially at a track like Watkins, what was the strategy like for you out there?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think I had a decent qualifier. I gained 2 positions in the start, and first half stint was just about to manage tires and try to get the best out of it, and maybe a little bit of fuel saving. So I went to pit 1 lap before, after I saw before everyone else, after I saw Harrison. He was having a spin in bus stop, and somehow I wanted to watch the relative on my dash, and I turned the wrong button on my steering wheel, so it doubled the fuel. So I went out on track with the full fuel after my pit stop. That's why I lost so many positions.
Yeah, obviously P number 7 tonight. Talk us through that, as it was the midfield, and we saw how, to put it simply, chaotic the midfield fight was at the end.
Yeah, I think after seeing what happens when people doing the pit stop, I think I missed at least a podium today. I saw Tobias spun on pit exit. Some guys went to pit. I think Harrison went to pit one more time. And yeah, when I saw I came out in P14, I was thinking, yeah, this is not good. Let's get the best out of it. But yeah, the last couple of laps, 2-3 laps, was a really tough fight, and I think I had a little bit better tires than the others. I tried to position myself the best I could, and tried to take some risks, and it gave me a P7 in the end. So I think it was a good comeback after my bad pit stop. Should have been a lot more. Maybe a win, I don't know. But yeah, at least a podium.
Well, fair enough. Before I quickly hand you to Adam, anybody you would like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, you guys for always a great broadcast. Really good commentating, and yeah, I think the level raised a lot here in Apex. So you really have to up your game and practice before these races a lot. To get at least a podium. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Anything you would like to ask Adam?
Nothing from me, but all the best, Nick. Congratulations on the result, and we'll see you hopefully in Barcelona in 7 days' time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm out for next week, but I will do a strong comeback in the end of the season.
That's what we love to hear. Take care of yourself, Nick, and we'll see you in 2 rounds' time.
Thank you. See you.
Nick Madsen, then, great guy, quick driver. Well, that comes to the end then. It's the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship for Season 16. Alexa, we've had a fantastic race, but overall, what do you think we can take away from it?
I think one of the biggest stories is going to be no matter how great a fight may be, there is always going to be factors that can sometimes be out of your control. Hopefully some of the drivers will look back and reflect on the race tonight. And we go again when it is heat format, when we go to the circuit, the Barcelona Catalunya. That comes your way, same place, same time, next week right here on Apex Racing TV. What about you, Adam? Because for me, that was one good race tonight.
It was, and you can see that our last 60-minute race will be at the Hockenheim Ring in 3 weeks' time. So get ready, get yourselves ready for that. But of course, first we have Barcelona, followed by Miami, and then of course we have Hockenheim, then Interlagos at the very end. So stay tuned for the next 4 weeks, which are going to be filled with some absolutely incredible racing. But for myself, from Alexa Marshall, and from Aidan Howard in production, take care, good night, and we'll see you in sunny Spain. Good night.